Hey you know me and Mare without the Q. Well, guess what? You see, I love celebrating anniversaries, even if they don't matter. Like, what else would I have done on Monday besides celebrating the anniversary of my close friend installing a door? So you might be wondering, why the hell are you bringing this up? Well, today is the anniversary of me talking about my Nintendo. That's right, it's officially been 1 whole year. You totally care, right? So I'm here to do something better, or else what am I doing? Am I wasting my time? So I thought, why don't I talk about another video game thing that means something to me? You see, that's why I talked about my Nintendo, because it was something I loved and it was also spell check's worst nightmare. But the question is, what? Well, I need something that I love. It's kind of a known but not obscure and with a decent amount of things to say about it. That'll do. Ori and the Blind Forest, aka the most unknown known indie game. So on the 11th of March in 2015, the indie game by MEKO Studios, Ori and the Blind Forest, released with the world finally being happy. It's not a coincidence. It was their first game, and even with it being published by Microsoft, the developers still consider it an indie game. Also, yeah, since it was published by Microsoft, it initially only released on Xbox consoles and Windows. Though 4 years later, the game ended up being ported to the Nintendo Switch because they care about me. Fun fact, the developers confirmed the game runs better on Switch than Xbox One, funnily enough. The game ended up doing pretty well with Ori appearing on Nesquik. That truly was MEKO Studios' mission when making the game, trust me. Before I talk about the game, I want to talk about the collectibles in the case, because why not? So this being the definitive edition in the Switch port, we got some neat little doodads in the box. There are these neat little cards of art which I really like, and a digital soundtrack. You can only redeem the soundtrack once, so once you put in the code you can't do it again. And when I did it, my laptop crashed before I could download it and I couldn't redeem it again. I'm considering sending this very serious letter to iMateBit. Yeah, the company iMateBit are the blessings that make the cool Ori merchandise. They're also the reason I'm tempted to spend $149.99 on 2 games I already own but with different box art. So merchandise I look at once, say nice, then put on my shelf and never touch again, and a box everything comes in. Honestly, I'm joking, but even if it happens in like 8 years, I'm probably gonna buy eventually. No one's holding a gun to my head to do it now, right? You know, this is kinda boring for such a meaningless celebration. Like, this is supposed to be an anniversary game, talking about the games like I normally would do. But don't worry, because I decided to actually use this thing for the first time. Okay, maybe I'll try something like, I don't know, Bing. After all, it has all the answers, like, here's the meaning of life. Okay, well, according to the Sketchy website, not only can I get a free fridge effect with my credit card, but I can also purchase this machine on Amazon with no reviews to make this anniversary more interesting.
Hey, you ever wanted to live in a video game but hate VR? Well, I got the product for you. Basically, you shove a game into this product you'll buy, then press the button and you'll be right in Skyrim and then die immediately because it's Skyrim. We are not responsible for any destruction of reality due to our product. The best part is, it used to be £10,350, now just 2. And same hour delivery.
Well, that speaks for itself. I'd be stupid not to buy that. I would get to talk about Ori inside Ori. Well, while I wait for that to arrive because I'm an idiot who bought it, let's talk about the game's development. It all started in 2010 when the company MEKO Studios was founded by 2 people, Thomas Mahler and Gandhi Coral. Please tell me I pronounced those names right. Mahler used to be a cinematic artist at Blizzard Entertainment, and Coral used to be a graphics engineer at Animation Lab. The duo assembled a small but passionate team of about 10 people. The studio didn't rent an office where employees would work. Instead, they did all their work through the internet. They worked on 2 prototypes hoping to make them full-fledged games, one being Warsaw, a fast-paced shade with real-time strategy elements, and the other being a little Metrovania called Siam with absolutely beautiful graphics. They pitched the games to a bunch of publishers, one of them being Microsoft. Microsoft didn't find Warsaw too interesting, but Siam on the other hand, they decided to fund it and make it a full first-party Xbox One game. So the game probably started development in Unity, initially with about 10 people working on it, later expanded to around 20. Employees signed contracts and worked from home as before. Actually, they didn't meet each other in real life before E3 2014, where the trailer for Ori and the Blind Forest was revealed. Yeah, they renamed it from Siam to Ori and the Blind Forest. I really like the name. It kinda sounds like a book title, which suits the game. The game took from 2011 to 2015 to develop. 4 years, and if I'm honest, it's really impressive they got so much done in that time. Like, to put that in perspective, New Super Mario Bros. U took 3 years to develop and looks near identical to the previous game. Once the game released, it was critically praised and was a commercial success. It did well enough that they were able to expand the company from about 20 people to around 80. All the people in total actually came from 43 whole different countries. It's impressive how well the game did, considering it was MEKO Studios' first game, in my opinion. Oh hey, it arrived. Alright, so according to this walkthrough manual as they call it, all I gotta do is put the original version of the game in the machine and then press the button and I'll be zapped into that game's world. But you see, the difficult bit about this is that by original version, they mean a copy of the game that's for the console it originally released on. The problem is, I'm an idiot who played the game on Switch. which isn't the console initially released on. So, I don't own the original version, but I think I found a solution. Look, I own a bunch of Xbox One games for the console Ori initially released on. So really, I could just replace a box art of some random game I hate with printed Ori box art. The disc may not be right, but I'm just hoping the machine only reads the box art. Okay, well I accidentally printed it in black and white, and cropped off, and too big. But hey, it's fine, I can just chop it up with some scissors to make it fit, and it doesn't really matter that's cropped off on black and white. This will totally fool the machine. You know, I'm starting to reconsider it. Well, it seems as if I broke the machine with a fake game, and it just didn't know what to do, so now I'm, well, here. Oh, and I'm bleeding! You know, now that I think about it, it's probably a good thing I'm not an Ori and here instead, considering how deadly the enemies there are. Yeah, I definitely should have thought this through. Well, now all I have is a Switch and a copy of the game, which I brought beforehand. What else do I have to do? I'm just gonna replay Ori and talk about it because, I mean, I might as well. That's what I was gonna do after all, but not like this, of course. And hey, before I got here, I randomly had the urge to fill some stuff out the carpet, so I'll definitely help the discussion. I think I'll talk about the prologue in the game, mainly just because it sets up the rest of the game, and most of it's not even gameplay, so it's not really spoiling anything. But if you really want to know nothing about the story, plug your ears. Then, once I do that, I can do a spoiler-free review of it, something. One more thing, I'll be referring to the definitive edition of the game, which released exactly a year later, that includes a bunch of extra content, which may also be another reason the machine didn't work, because I printed the cover of the definitive edition, not the original one. Yeah, I really didn't think this whole thing through. Anyway, to set the mood, this light I also brought. Ooh. The game starts with a storm, and a glowing leaf flies out during it with the help of the wind. It flies over a creature named Naru. She soon discovers the leaf to be a fragile spirit named Ori. With Ori being alone and helpless, Naru adopts them. Fast forward to present day, Ori and Naru are living peacefully together in our family. As Ori carries a pile of fruit to the cave them and Naru live in, a beam of light stops them and makes them stare in awe. Naru rushes to pick up Ori adorably to protect them from it, and they hide in that cave. Once Nara decides it's safe enough to leave the cave, she goes out to discover that the place they lived in had turned into a wasteland. She tries to find food for Ori, but is unable to reach the few remaining fruit, resulting in the single fruit in the cave to give to Ori. Ori, upon realizing Naru has nothing left to eat, decides to go out and find fruit for her. Unlike Naru, Ori is able to reach the fruit and collect a pile of them to bring back to their cave. Though, when they get back, Naru's not moving, and Ori soon realizes Naru had passed away due to starvation. Ori leaves that cave with no reason to stay now that Naru's gone. Weakened from starvation, Ori collapses and draws her last breath while traveling. But suddenly, the narrator, who is currently anonymous, revives Ori with the last of their light. The prologue ends. So now I guess I gotta replay the rest of the game, and then I'll make a review. See you in like 4 hours when I beat it. Shouldn't take long considering this is my second playthrough. Yeah, that took longer than expected. Ori and the Blind Forest is a Metroidvania game. What is a Metroidvania? Well, it's a subgenre in action-adventure games. They're non-linear 2D games mainly focusing on exploration. The word Metroidvania comes from the games Metroid and Castlevania, as they were basically what started the subgenre. There are many Metroidvania games, and I feel like if you really want to get into them, Ori and the Blind Forest is a perfect place to start. I feel like it should be considered one of the best Metroidvanias, up there with Metroid games and Hollow Knight and maybe Castlevania. I don't know, I've never played any of the Castlevania games. The game can be extremely difficult at times. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a fun platforming challenge. That's a Celeste level, and I'm gonna cry. Though the game's never really gone to the point where it's just so frustrating it's not fun. It's balanced pretty well. It's not a rage game, but keep in mind it can get very difficult with many perfect timing moments. That's just kinda how the level design and platforming is. It's tough, but fair. Mostly. It can be very clever though, with a lot of it being designed around the abilities you get in the game. Actually, when you get a new ability, the level design right after is made to utilize the skill you just got, which is always done really well, and it teaches you everything you need to know about the ability and how to use it. Without using stuff like textbooks is too much. The first thing almost everyone notices when they see the game for the first time are the visuals, of course. It's what got me interested in the game in the first place. This game looks absolutely stunning. Of course, there's a bunch of effects and particles, small little details, the overall, the lighting, the glow effect on Ori, and a bunch more that make it look this way. But another reason why this game looks so beautiful is due to the animation, mainly total character animation that looks straight out of an old Disney movie. And unlike the things I mentioned before, I know how to analyze that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do it. This could be fun because I spend way too much time researching this kind of stuff. Get ready. All the art and animation are hand-drawn and inspired by movies like The Lion King and The Iron Giant, which if you analyze between Ori and them, is very empowering. This is due to it being drawn frame by frame, on ones, almost perfectly like those movies. Drawing on ones is basically more on each frame there's a new drawing, which you don't see too much today as back then. Speaking of the frames, each one is drawn really well with you being able to pause anywhere to get a fully realized illustration. Something the game does with the animation that many games, even AAA games, don't do, or at least not as well, are the in-betweens. It doesn't snap between poses or look choppy when changing direction, because they have animations or frames in between the poses to make it look natural and flow like an animated movie, to transition from one animation to another. Even if the in-between frames alone are a blurry mess, they look really good in the actual animation. I also really like the lines of action. If you don't know what they are, they're pretty much just lines showing the flow of an animation. Outside the character animations, just small movements in the environments with a lot of reacting to what you do as Ori make them feel more alive. Like if you stomp here, that moves. 10 out of 10. You know, before I do any more of this review, make sure I get out of here, considering I may or may not be stuck here for the rest of my life. Or I could talk about the sound of music. Screw it. The music in Ori and the Blind Forest is absolutely incredible, like many other aspects of the game. Love listening to it on its own too, it's not just great in the game. Oh yeah, I just remembered my soundtrack download crashed, so I don't have the music. Well, it's Spotify. The music in the game is from a live orchestra and it's fucking good. In most of the game, there's this repeated melody, which is really cool, honestly. The music in the game is adaptive. Go to this area, music changes. Being attacked by a rhino, thing, music goes full and epic and loud. That emphasizes how powerful the enemy is, and even though this enemy isn't that hard to beat at this point in the game, it still feels like a big threat. Most of that's due to the music. I love how much the music emphasizes the story too. When sad moments happen, sad music plays. When happy moments happen, happy music plays. Simple as that. The sound effects are also really great. I really like how loud and echoey some of them are, like this really powerful dash. It really exaggerates the move. Well, I finished that. Now what? Yeah, I should probably go back. I mean, like, how? As the smart guy I am, I brought a random light but not the manual of the machine that tells you how. So, I have no clue how to get out. I mean, maybe I should just, you know, take the game out. Well, that didn't do anything. I think I just started the destruction of reality. I hate when it happens. As much as I love the game, I will admit, it does have its flaws. Also, yes, I'm finishing this damn review in my last moments. The main issue I have with the game, and also apparently IGN's main issue too, is the fact that there's no post-credits gameplay. You see, once you beat the final boss, you just get teleported to when I save the game, so somewhere around the final boss normally. Nothing more, and there's so much potential, it bugs me so much. Like, there wasn't even much to do to make a post-credits game. Just change a few backgrounds, a bit of lighting, and maybe change some level design and a bit of other stuff. Then bam, post-credits game. Don't even need to add any more things to actually do afterwards. Just give us something. I know I'm acting like game development is easier than it actually is, but still, they didn't even add it to the Definitive Edition. Also, I'm about to die. Fun fact, wait, couldn't I just? I found out the way to turn off the machine was just to press the big red button that I used to turn the thing on. Then doing that caused reality to be restored. I should really have been able to think that sooner. Well, the best way to recover from that is to do it by Ori even more, right? Now that I've bought Ori, now that I've beaten it, now that I've 100%ed it, now that I replayed it, now that I reviewed it, almost died reviewing it, I can confidently say, even though I played so many other indie games, Agar.io, Among Us, Angry Birds, Bloons Tower Defense 5, and Battles, Celeste, Clusterstruck, Cutthroat, Deltarune, Dual Jump, The Escapist 1 and 2, Vanity Pants, Fall Guys, Gang Beast, Golf with your friends, Happy Wheels, Hollow Knight, Human Fall Flat, Jetpack, Joyride, Meat Boy, Minecraft, Overcooked 2, Papa's Pizzeria, and the rest of the Papa's games, Rocket League, Slither.io, Snipperclip, Super Hot, Mind Control Delete, Subliminal, Terraria, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, Totally Reliable Delivery Service, Townscaper, Undertale, Unpacking, and so many more. I still consider Ori and the Blind Forest my favorite indie game, if not favorite game in general. Yeah, I lied. So on the 11th of March 2020, the indie game by Moon Studios, Ori and the Will was released, with the world finally being happy again. Yeah, they made a sequel to the game, Ori and the Blind Forest, which improved on so much and added so much and did so much, and it's just so good. Yeah, if you couldn't read between the lines, that's my favorite indie game. The sequel, not the first. And that also seems to be the general opinion of everyone else online. Anyway, that's a discussion for another year. After all the stuff that's just happened, one question remains. No, not how did I manage to almost destroy reality with a sketchy product from some random website. The real question is, why do I consider Ori and the Blind Forest an unknown known indie game? Well, you see, it's in the odd territory where it's popular enough to sell over 1 million copies and have a decently sized and passionate fanbase, but isn't acknowledged enough in the grand scope of indie games. Even though it gets a ton of recognition and praise, it's not enough in my opinion. This game is such an incredible experience and a joy to play through. It deserves to be considered one of the best indie games in the world. And I don't say that lightly. Well, one anniversary. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I ever checked if it was actually the 25th of February, the day of the anniversary. I just kinda presumed it was. Let me check real quick, and well, it turns out I'm over a month late. I should buy a calendar.